All right, folks, welcome. The What's Right show is on. Happy Friday. Yeah, I saw this Mitt Romney piece. Of course, I'm going to talk about it. Of course. It pisses me off. Oh, boy. All right, like to keep things typically light here on the What's Right program Fridays, but with the news cycle as it's been, not likely. Sam@whatsrightshow.com is my email. If you need to reach me, I do read all of your emails personally, try to get back to you as best as I possibly can. Forgive me if I'm a little bit behind right now, but I do read all your emails, and particularly those I asked for last week, and I'm going to do a roundup on that next week before we get to stuff. All right, so So Mitt Romney did a piece in the New York Times. It's an op-ed. It's an opinion piece. And he basically says, hit me, baby, one more time. Tax me. Daddy, tax me. I want more government. We're going off a fiscal cliff, Romney claims. And the answer is, well, he says it's two parts. He says you got to do a little cutting and a little taxing. And he gives himself as an example, gives Elon Musk as an example, doing the math on it. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't understand. My first reaction to this is 2025. One thing that I'm taking away from 2025, I think many of you agree on this, is that the waste, fraud, and abuse in this country is way worse than we ever imagined. We discovered this year via Doge and enterprising media, of course, the change of guard in Washington, that an ungodly sum of money on a daily basis was going out the window for projects that really are irrelevant to the betterment of the United States of America. We've had outflows and waste at sickening levels. And, you don't tell somebody that has a spending problem. If America has a spending problem, and I'll argue that we do, if someone has a spending problem, if a household or a business is upside down, first thing you do is you cut up the credit cards. The first thing you do is put together a budget that, where, the bills and the essentials are paid, and then money surplus is put away and debt is paid off, etc. You come up with a plan. I mean, and I understand, right, that it's difficult to get this done. And Mitt Romney himself was in the Senate how many years? Romney voted for so much spending, it sickens me that he would have the gall, the audacity to come in with this nonsense. But we're going to put that off to the side for a minute. I have some experience in the business world, and I have had to periodically, going into businesses, developing businesses, going through periods of slowdown and problems, I've had to go in and do cuts. Because in the real world, you can't just keep borrowing money, right? That's not a viable business plan. So business and a household, every business owner, every American instinctively understands that if we have an increasing deficit, increased spending, we got to do something about this. But you can't just say to the person that has a spending problem, well, you can go out and make more money. And in this case, right, the way the government operates, to be clear, the government doesn't, some exceptions apply, right, has some revenue generation models, but by and large, the government collects fees and taxes. That's the source of the U.S. government's revenue. And where does that money come from? Well, it comes from productive persons and businesses. It comes from, what, you get taxed when you lose money? No, you get taxed when you make money. When do you make money? When you've done things right as a business or as an individual. when you've been productive. Money is the reward in our system for productivity. So what happens when you take that money away from the producers? Well, that's money that doesn't get put back in. I'll even put it to you this way. Every business owner understands this, right? You know, when you have some kind of net revenue at the end of a month, at the end of a year, whatever fiscal period you choose, you look at this extra revenue and you have a choice. You can take that revenue, you can put it in your pocket, or you can leave it in the business for growth. And I can tell you, for economics and for, you know, generally speaking, it depends on the business, but it's better if you leave it in the business and you put it toward growth, right? But even when you take it out as a business owner and you put it in your own pocket, you're still either investing it in stocks or bonds or whatever, or you are deploying it through your spending, your personal consumption back into the marketplace, which in turn helps stimulate the economy. When the government, as Mitt Romney proposes here, goes, aha, we're going to fix the problem that we're in, the problem that we have been spending money like drunken whores, we're going to fix this by taking money away from the productive and removing those dollars, literally taking them and removing them from the economy. It's not good, is my point. And if you understood, and again, instinctively, it doesn't matter what kind of schooling you've had, you get this, right? You understand that money is out there. People spending money is a good thing. People using money to grow their businesses is a good thing. And that every dollar that gets removed by greedy Uncle Sam, right? A little government with its little piggy, cloven hooves, goes in there and rakes out your money. That's money you can't use for more growth. That's money that you're not redeploying in the economy. It's very easy to say, let's soak the rich. This is communist thinking. And what has happened in every society with rapacious taxation? What has happened in countries where they've either gone full communist or have dipped their toes in Lake Socialism? I can tell you that those companies go kaput. Those countries go broke. It's obvious what happens. And here's the thing. Right. Number one, and it's difficult to do. We cannot throw good money after bad. Looking at the kind of waste, looking at these gangsters in Minnesota, it's just a small thing, right? You go, it's only $8 billion. That's what we found out yesterday, that it's not the $1 billion. We're now up to 8. Just wait till this whole thing is said and done. We'll see that it's maybe more even than that. But it all adds up. That's just Minnesota. That's a state most Americans haven't even visited. Think about what the number has to be of federal money in California, in New York. And it adds up. And you're going to go to businesses, you're going to go to individuals that have done it right, who are producing and contributing, and you're going to say, those people, well, we need more of your hard-earned money because we did such a bad job with it in the first place. There's no place on the planet where this is a good idea. Like giving the drunk uncle in the family, here's some more cash, buddy. That's just what you need. So Mitt, I'm not here to, Mitt's to me a non-player. He's just he craves, I'll tell you, this is a thing about Romney. He absolutely detests Trump. He has a deep-seated chronic case of Trump derangement syndrome, but he also this has always been his problem. He craves affection from the establishment. He's an establishment craving guy, and that's why he's engaged in this form of written cuckoldry. Going to the New York Times. Oh, just please tax me. Give it to me. Gross. Makes me ill. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. This hour of the program brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. In a crash, call Sam and Ash 1-800-304-2000 because you deserve what's right.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
You get into an accident. It happens. Somebody rear ends you, some idiot not paying attention on their phone, high as a kite, whatever it is. And then, what next? So a lot of people wonder about this, right? Sam Mirejovsky here for Sam and Ash Injury Law. Look, don't go at it alone, all right? You may think everything's going to be okay. Maybe you don't even feel hurt right now. Maybe you're not hurt. I don't know. But you need some legal advice. You need to get help. And I'll tell you this. When you've been in an accident, the other side, the insurance companies, your insurance company, the other person's insurance company, they know what they're doing. They do this every day, all year. They have it down pat, and their entire goal is to save themselves money. At whose expense? Yours. You're going to get screwed. So here's what I always recommend. Call a law firm that you trust. I know a lot of PI lawyers will give you the ick. Sam and Ash Injury Law is the kind of firm that won't. And you know this because you know me. And I'm the founder of this firm. Now, easy thing to do when you get into an accident, your friend, family member, whoever, call Sam and Ash. You tell them, call Sam and Ash, get answers today. You'll talk to Ian, you'll talk to Oscar, Michael, Sam, Ash, any of us here. We will talk to you, get the issue sorted. 1-800-304-2000. Offices in Nevada and California, 800-304-2000. samandashlaw.com is the website. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. All right, friends, welcome to the What's Right show. Sam Mirejovsky here, your host. I have some good news from Minnesota, the Somali crime capital of the world, and I'm saying that maybe I think all the fraudsters from Somalia somehow relocated themselves to Tim Walz's Minnesota because it seems a lot of stuff, bad stuff is going on there. Yes, I know. I got an angry email. Sam, you know there are white people that commit crime in Minnesota? Of course. No crap. I was on with Steve Gruber. We were talking about this issue. He goes, well, there's other people too involved. And I love it. He's a straight news guy. So he really does have to kind of lay that out. I'm just telling you, there's a high number of individuals that have been brought into this country that we've welcomed in, and they've rewarded us with these shenanigans. I don't know, like where I come from, it's kind of rude to be new to a country and immediately start doing all the same stuff you did in your old country that happens to be basically a toilet. Oh, that's just my take on it. So the good news here is that the people of Minnesota are noticing that Tim Walz may not be their guy. Have you seen these performance numbers? These came out, this polling came out yesterday. Alpha News did a poll, 57% disapproval for Governor Walz's job performance as governor in Minnesota. So there's only 42% that approve. By comparison, Trump actually has a better approval rating in Minnesota than Walz himself. I keep telling you, Trump is so unpopular. Trump is toxic. I mean, Republicans in Congress are toxic. I think Trump is way more popular than Republicans in Congress, but okay, whatever. No, but apparently Trump in a blue state, Minnesota has become a blue state. Apparently not just the color you turn when it's minus 35 outside in the winter, has turned into a blue state politically. And even there, Trump is more popular than Little Tim. Well, this is the part of it that I wanted to share with you, though. People got asked in this poll about next year's gubernatorial election. This is, always love this word, gubernatorial, relating to the governorship, right? There's going to be an election. And so this is going to coincide with the midterms. 40% of those polled said that they would vote for the governor, for Tim Walz, the incumbent. White dudes for Kamala, that guy. 46% said they would vote for a Republican opponent. 14% were simply not sure. I know what that 14% is. How much of that 14% are people that just do not want to answer that question? No, I'm just saying. Imagine literally the co-standard bearer of the Democratic Party in the 2024 election, which, was yesterday. I mean, functionally a year ago, right? But just happened. They lost nationally. But, a lot of people now were told constantly that Trump is very unpopular. So you would think Democrats and people that elected Tim Walz in the first place would have a lot of hometown pride for their guy that almost made it to the White House, almost made it to be the number 2 politician in the country. And it seems that his, stock is sinking. And one of the things I am noticing, and this is one of those reflections that's important to make as we near the end of the year. It would have been inconceivable in the 2024 election that newspapers in Minnesota would be going after Tim Walz. And yet we are sitting here today. We are in the midst of a growing, significant scandal in Minnesota that implicates a number of high-ranking Democratic politicians. And you're starting to see local mainstream media pick at this. I'm just telling you that that's not an insignificant thing, right? So we got to watch that going into next year. I know they keep telling us that these midterm elections are going to be a bloodbath. For Republicans, can you imagine? I mean, if Republicans kind of barely hang on to the Congress, by the way, that would be a huge win. If the election was held tomorrow for Congress, and the result was that Republicans lost a seat, but are still like thin, just barely there majority in the House of Representatives. But I mean, I think the consensus would be, wow, it was spectacular. Now imagine you add to it that a Republican wins in Minnesota. Right? These things are conceivable, particularly with this election being just about a year out. Well, it's 10 months, right? 10 months. Let's be real. I mean, we're closer to, we're close. 11, the 19th of December here. Okay, so I mean, just telling you, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So this is a story to follow, and exactly, and this is, I think, why I know why the New York Times colluded with Mitt Romney to put out the stupid piece. Here are those of you watching the Sam Cam. This is the article in my stack of stuff published today, early this morning. Op-ed piece by Mitt Romney, our favorite rhino Republican, saying that rich people like him ought to be taxed more. Why send good money after bad? I mean, I think it's a spending problem. It's a spending problem. And we look at the enormous amount of spending that we are putting into, benefits, entitlements. And then we see the entitlement fraud. There's some great new stuff coming. I got a bottom of the hour here. Folks, just 1 second here. Be right back. Sam Mirejovsky on the What's Right Media Network. Yes, I have, I think, a bit of good news across the board today. And it's not just, of course, the economics numbers yesterday that came out, 2.7% inflation, which huge. Markets have reacted positively to this. Even critics of Trump are coming out. Well, they're not happy about it, but they are begrudgingly admitting that the economy is in better shape than they had expected it to be. Now, I'll tell you, there's other good news, not just that and Tim Walz's popularity, which is plummeting in the great state of Minnesota. Sam Mirejovsky here. I am Nevada's favorite recovering Californian, joining you every weekday, Monday through Friday, here on the What's Right Media Network. Always happy to be with you. So, you see this development in Wisconsin. Wisconsin, which is a state Minnesota adjacent. Remember that big, was she big? Yeah, she's a little rotund. Judge Hannah Dugan. Back in April, she helped a Mexican national who was being apprehended by ICE agents, helped him escape out the back door of the courthouse. Remember this case? Flores Ruiz had outstanding warrants. Immigration people had a hold on him. She went out in the hallway, literally got out of her off the bench, away from her chambers, wherever she was, interrupted the thing and walked outside into the hallway. And then I think used a private hallway through her office, through her chambers, to help the guy escape. Remember this. Anyway, she was convicted. And I read just before, when they were closing this case up, I read that one of her fellow judges testified against her. That's a rough one. I can tell you, judges tend to kind of look out for each other. That's my general feeling, especially when they're all in the same courthouse. It's a club, sure, of course, and they have a tremendous amount of power. But they do tend to look out for each other. There can be some rivalries. I was surprised, is my point. As an attorney, I was surprised that this judge ratted her out. Now, it's all on tape. That's the best part, right? So this case was never about proof. This case was never about the evidence. Oh, I don't know. Are they going to be able to prove their case? This case was much more about figuring out the mood of the country to see if jurors are willing to convict people who have done obvious wrong, even if that wrong has been done against Trump. My biggest fear continues to be when we're talking about, I certainly would like to see in 2026 more accountability for what was under Joe Biden. I want to see people who did illegal things go to jail. Justice requires it. But every time I talk about this issue anywhere, I always bring up the fundamental worry that I have is that none of this justice is going to happen, because you'll get jurors like the ones in D.C. where the sandwich thrower, who actually was a DOJ employee at the time, the sandwich thrower chucked his sub at some National Guard ICE people. I forget exactly who was pummeled by said hoagie, but it was a federal officer, I believe. Anyway, the guy got off. It was a open and shut case. I mean, there he is on video. He admits it. I could make an argument that the jury felt that this was a trivial waste of their time. Jurors can do that. I can tell you this from experience. You bring a weak case. Sometimes I'll have a client that says, but I got rear-ended. I got hurt, and I really did. And I said, but the offer they're making you is really good, actually. You don't want to go to trial on this. Trust me, like you don't. They go, but I want to go to trial. I want to fight this. Like, I go, look, but there's no damage on your car. Like, it's not a great case. Be honest with you. I'm always honest with my clients. Well, all I can do is advise, right? I can just give you good advice. And sometimes people don't listen. So I have one that comes to mind where somebody was, we're going to trial. The client demands it. Go to trial. Of course, it's a legitimate case. It wasn't even a big injury, and we were palms up about it. But the other side basically told the jurors in so many words, why the hell are you guys even here? You're only here because this sleazebag lawyer over here is dragging you all away from your jobs for this stupid non-case. The whole thing got thrown out. The client should have taken the money, listened to his lawyer, but we'll leave it at that. Sometimes jurors will look at the case like this and go, really, we're here for a sandwich? Are you kidding me? And they just go, yeah, screw you. But it was likely much more about Trump. And I was pleased to see here in Wisconsin, it's not D.C., but again, it's more of a blue state, blue area. I was pleased to see in Wisconsin that this conviction happened. So this is it's an indicator, and it ought to scare the heck out of the other side, right? Because it's sort of been above the law. What's happened really to the Antifa people? Antifa as a group, but these individual attacks, when you look at it, I mean, there's been some serious harm done. Right? The Antifa people vandalized, burned, and otherwise destructed billions of dollars of property, public and private. The Antifa people have beaten people up. And when you look at this being a concerted attack, not just about money or about individual arguments, but this being political violence used to silence one side of a political debate. I mean, these are crimes that these people should be sitting in prison for the rest of their lives. But they've gotten away with it. And then people like me, objectively looking at trespassers on January 6th who were nonviolent, getting treated like they were some sort of violent criminals. It offends my sense of justice and a fair play. I want to believe that Lady Liberty is blindfolded and truly just in her application of the law, but it's not the case. People are increasingly looking through a political lens. And I give you the example of, if I have to, of Luigi Mangione. We talked about him earlier in the week. This is tied into it too. It's the same phenomenon. There are people walking among us that go, yeah, Brian Thompson, the CEO, he deserved to die. I mean, we really shouldn't be killing people, but I get it. I get Luigi. I mean, look, he hurt his back. Was denied by his insurance company, got the runaround. That's relatable. It happened to me. It happened to my mom. It happened to my dad, my grandma, whatever. Insurance companies are evil. And there are people that feel so helpless in the system that they have justified in their minds that they are, that violence was acceptable and understandable. And I candidly, I worry about that case. The message, if Luigi Mangione does not get convicted, the message that will be sent will be disastrous for our country. It'll be a watershed moment. And maybe actually a turning point, because it's going to embolden people. And that's what had happened. When you didn't prosecute Antifa, you gave them a slap on the wrist and they were in jail for 3 days and released, and then charges later were dropped. I mean, when that kind of stuff happened, and it did, it only emboldened further violence by other members and the same members that got released. Violence increased. And that mayhem, that chaos, that violence, that is all stuff that is by design. I'm convinced the left is intending to do it. So, and it goes for the lawfare. Every single person who was a decision maker in the Biden Department of Justice Merrick Garland on down, and probably people above Merrick Garland, which means whoever was programming the auto pen, who overruled recommendations from rank and file agents and attorneys and went ahead and raided Mar-a-Lago. Every one of those people needs to be held accountable. These people need to go to jail, prison. If they're lawyers, they need to lose their licenses, need to be disbarred. They need to pay fines, disgorgement. Team Biden went in and you want to talk about election rigging? You want to talk about subverting democracy? These people wanted nothing but to interfere in the 2024 election. They timed that raid, if you'll recall, just as Republicans were getting into primary season. They could have done all that earlier. They had whatever, it wasn't probable cause, but they already knew that Trump had whatever documents he had in his possession. They knew it was there. Why did they go for it when they did? You really believe that Jack Smith took 2 years to get everything, all his ducks in a row? No. If Trump was a walking, talking, traitorous, machine of destruction ready to blow our country up, getting him should have been, like top priority. And Joe Biden was in charge of the machine, or whoever was running him was in charge of the government by mid-January. They waited 2 years after that. It's just the whole thing, right? This accountability is so important. All right, quick break. Sam Mirejovsky here, back in a moment. Hi, welcome back. I'm here. Don't worry. Sam@whatsrightshow.com is my email. @whatsrightsam on X. Follow me there. Just keep staring at this Romney piece. Mitt Romney, if you're just joining us, wrote an op-ed piece in the New York Times saying, "Tax me, baby. Just tax me, and rich people like me. We have a budget deficit. We have national debt that's ballooning. We got to do something about this." Of course, this man was in the Senate from 2019 to 2025. No stranger to the political scene. Before that, Mitt was governor of Massachusetts. I guess if you're the kind of Republican that can win in Massachusetts, it's saying something. Anyhow, certainly voted for a lot of spending. Here's what I love about it. This is a quote from it. Typically, this is an op-ed he wrote. These are his words. So Mitt Romney writes, "Typically, Democrats insist on higher taxes, and Republicans insist on lower spending. But given the magnitude of our national debt, as well as the proximity of the cliff, the financial cliff, both are necessary. Revolutionary. We've got to cut and we've got to tax." Wait for it. Doge took a slash and burn approach to budget cutting and failed spectacularly. Can I ask, why did Doge fail? Well, I mean, this basically hamster cage droppings filler masquerading as a op-ed piece for Mitt Romney is coming the same week that Susie Wiles did that stupid Vanity Fair piece, Trump's chief of staff, saying that she prefers an incremental approach. Musk was fighting the incrementalists, the people who wanted to do it little bit by little bit, all the time. Musk gave up in frustration. And it was one of the low points of the year. And who was fighting him? Republicans and Democrats alike. And Mitt Romney is writing here, well, typically Democrats want to do this, and typically the Republicans want to do that. And then he slams Musk. And I guess the idiocy of this is, the part that just boils my blood, is that Musk was the guy that fought both sides. He got Musk's big contribution is that he's a great communicator, has a huge platform, and was able to reliably inform all of us just how bad the spending was. Money was flowing from the Treasury, billions of dollars were flowing out of the Treasury, and there were no line items. It's not even recorded what the money was for. If America is, as Mitt Romney says, a boat that is like a sieve that's leak, well, if it's like a boat and it sprung leaks, you need, you of course you need to get the water out. You plug the leaks. You can keep dumping water all you want if the boat keeps refilling. This is what it's going to be. But in so doing, and I mentioned this earlier in the hour, I'm going to repeat it so importantly. Every time you tax a dollar, you're removing it from the economy. You're taking productive money out of the economy, making it inert. It stops moving. It stops functioning. It stops creating kinetic energy inside of an economy. That is a problem. Mitt Romney, I thought, was smarter than this. Oh, wait, I forgot there's another good line here. Quote, I saw the word Europe, and I underlined this too. Quote, Europe demonstrates that exorbitant taxes without spending restraint crushes economic vitality and thus speeds how fast the cliff arrives. Right. But it can't possibly be this dumb. And I'm it's very easy to pass taxes, tax increases. I mean, it's actually relatively easy. You can get consensus on soaking the rich. Unfortunately, you can't get consensus. You can't get any action on spending cuts. So, this is what is this? A fantasy land? Yeah. I know. Well, it is. This is okay. This was bottom of page 2 is where Mitt lays it on. Quote, and on the tax front, it's time for rich people like me to pay more. Okay. Fantastic. By the way, the fraud is, I remember I said California, wait for New York, wait for those numbers to come out. Oh my gosh. And this is federal money, right? These are federal tax dollars that are going to states and that the states are then misusing. Well, okay. I'll give you this. There was what was this, last week? The New York Post ran a story. Maine's Medicaid program built out of millions of dollars in Somali fraud claim. Gateway founder Abdullah Ali was born in Somalia and settled in Maine following a stint in a Kenyan refugee camp. Last year, News Nation reported he sought the presidency of Jubaland, a region of Somalia bordering Kenya. Okay. All right. So what did he do? Well, he came to America. And I guess he started this Gateway Community Services company, and they've just been bilking people. They were charging for services, simply put, that they weren't providing. They took $28 million from the main care, which is the state Medicaid program, main care between 2019 and 2024, just 5 years. But Sam, we have trillions of dollars in debt. That's just $28 million. Well, it adds up. You ever been upside down in your household budget? Have you ever been at a business that, it's kind of running in some rough times? You go through, you cut every little thing that you possibly can. That's what you do. It's pretty straightforward, actually. So I think this is one of those news stories that's only picking up inertia. And I suspect, and I started saying this earlier, I suspect that the New York Times is colluding with Mitt Romney here to run interference ahead of all these stories. And here we go. Let's talk about tax. We really have to talk about taxes. It's not just about cutting money. Yeah, get rid of the waste first. Sam Mirejovsky here. Another hour of the What's Right show up next. Rarely wrong, always right. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Happy Friday, just before Christmas, here in beautiful Las Vegas. Yesterday, yes, I heard, of course, I'm going to talk about it. The Kennedy Center getting renamed, maybe. Everybody's up in arms about this. Republicans, too. What do I think? I could care less. You know what story I care about from yesterday? You know what I care about? I care about the fact that Fulton County in Georgia, I've got it right here, admitted it illegally certified 315,000 ballots in the 2020 election. That's the bigger news story. Who gives a rip about the Kennedy Center? I don't know if Trump can do it. By the way, I don't know. He probably can't. If Congress passed a law saying this piece of federal property is going to be called X, and there's no mechanism in that law giving the board permission to change it, then really what this is just a troll. And everybody's getting themselves all up in arms about it. Meanwhile, Trump's going to take over, Venezuela or something. So I could care less. But back to Fulton County. This is huge. Apparently, I'm just reading about this here. 315,000 ballots in 2020 lacked required poll worker signatures on tabulation tapes. This is 36 out of 37 precincts, right? Most populous county, I believe, in Georgia. And by the way, why does this matter? Well, guess how much Biden won Georgia by in 2020? Won. Putting some air quotes on that. Biden won by 11,779 votes. The whole state. Okay? So, 300, almost 400,000 ballots that aren't properly vetted, aren't properly certified is a big effing deal, no? God. I mean, what if they have to, exactly. Okay, oh my goodness, Trump put up pictures in the White House and wrote mean plaques underneath. I read you the one about Obama. It's great stuff, right? Just, and people are up in arms about this. People are up in arms about the Kennedy Center, the Trump Kennedy Center, as it, I guess, will be named from here on out. But nobody's concerned that Trump was actually right about Georgia, that we've been hearing nonstop for 5 years from the left, and frankly, for many Republicans, that Trump was demanding subversion of democracy when he talked about Georgia and said, find me the votes. Find me the vote. They're the ones that monkeyed with this. By the way, Fulton County DA Fannie Willis. Fannie Willis, remember her? Her and Nathan Wade, lover boy lawyer who was paid a bucket's load of money by taxpayers down in Fulton County to help with the Trump cases down there. She just, by the way, nobody even cares anymore. It's yesterday's news. But this week, there were some fireworks in Georgia where there's a hearing about this, and she did her usual stuff. She was mouthing off. That case is deader than a doornail. And as I've predicted from the beginning, Fani Willis will end up facing some kind of punishment for this. And I wouldn't be surprised if at a minimum she gets disbarred. So that of course would mean removal from office. This is the real story, folks. That's why Trump, I give the guy a pass for being egotistical and pissed off and cranky and writing mean, vindictive things about his enemies, the people that continue to lie about him. When kind of the longer that time goes by, we discover that Trump was right. I'm just saying. Now, another news story here that is obviously on my radar is the Brown shooting case. So they found a guy. They've got a perp, and it's not the Mustafa guy. This is over the weekend, right? No, not over the weekend. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, there was some guy who was he was a Palestinian advocate. He was a guy immigrant from Lebanon. Big pro-Palestinian guy, always pictured in every photograph with the giant keffiyeh wrapped around his neck. And he was, it was suggested that the university was removing his profiles from different pages in anticipation of releasing his name as a suspect. That turned out, at least now, turns out not to be the case. I am still, folks, very much. I don't believe it. I don't believe anything that these people do. These Rhode Island cops. Now, the U.S. attorney, Trump's U.S. attorney, is also overseeing the case because now the two murders, the MIT murder in Boston, has been linked with the Rhode Island case. Now it crosses state lines. The feds are involved. So this is as they say, a fluid, developing situation. So here's what we know, and again, this guy. He's a Portuguese guy. He's a Portuguese guy. Claudio Neves, or Neve Valente is his name. Claudio Neves Valente. He has ties to Brown. He had attended the university in the early aughts. And I believe he first took a leave of absence, which later was a withdrawal. So there's something that happened in his life where he withdrew. He also had past connections to the nuclear science professor Nuno Loureiro. So the two of them had some relationship. Feds are not, cops are not saying what it is. But when I say that the whole thing sort of stinks, there's some weird press conferences by the cops. These Rhode Island cops. First off, I think the case got solved on Reddit. Somebody went on Reddit and talked about how they had a weird interaction with somebody. By the way, let's say that in your neighborhood, you live across the street from a university. Here in Vegas, let's say you live a block away from UNLV, somewhere off of Maryland. You're there, and there's a horrific shooting that occurs on campus, and you see something that is suspicious. And your reaction is not to call the cops, but to write about it online. Are you baffled by this? Actually, I'm not. I can guarantee you, I know that the age of the person is going to be less than me. That's the angle of the story I'm terribly curious about, because the guy apparently saw someone leaving and getting into a gray sedan, and it was the suspect. And this person online said, hey, can I help you? You're circling around. Your car appears to be over there. And he goes, I don't know you. Get away from me. It was just a weird confrontation. Gave the person pause. So anyway, the police had to track down the lead on Reddit. The cops are on Reddit too, I guess. And like, oh, we better talk to this guy. Brought him in and got a statement on the whole situation. And then we're able to trace the car that had been rented. And even though the guy had changed the plates on it, apparently, we're able to find him. Now, he made his way to a storage unit after killing the MIT professor and shot himself. Sorry if I'm. So why did he go into one classroom? Apparently, according to people that were in the room, feel that he was targeting this one gal who just happens to be a conservative student leader on campus. Then leaves. A couple days, 3 days go by, goes and kills somebody else across town. I don't know. I'll play some of the clips that the cops are. It's weird stuff. Okay, weird stuff. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Back in a moment, folks.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
Robbie, something happened yesterday. I haven't shared it with you. I got a call from Ian here at Sam and Ash Injury Law, and Ian said we'd had a client, a listener of the show, called us and needed help for an accident. Literally had just happened. She was at the scene, had questions, called us, spoke to Ian, but Ian got her name and started talking to her and found out that she's Czech. So I called her and I talked about her case in Czech, which is very exciting because that does not happen very often. Not very many Czech people roaming the country, but apparently just enough. I think this is my second or third of my career of having a Czech client with whom, of course, I talk about their case in Czech and catch up. A very lovely conversation. So just letting you know that. We are multilingual here at Sam and Ash Injury Law. Czech, only about 10 million, 11 million people or so speak the language. Not of particularly high utility for me, but there it is. Had to share. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, welcome back. Yeah. Well, the Brown shooting. More questions than answers. What can I tell you? I don't. No, it's just the whole thing. The whole thing's weird. Let me take you through this, right? And this is the officials there in Rhode Island are not confidence inspiring. For example, the Providence, Rhode Island police chief on Tuesday, when this whole thing was happening, and the guy was running loose, and they couldn't find anybody. But they already knew, okay? They already knew that the guy had shouted something. He had shouted something in the room, and multiple witnesses came forward to the cops to confirm that he had shouted something. And the Rhode Island police chief, you listen to him tack, weave, and evade to try to get away from saying what was said when this would be helpful and relevant to an open investigation. Listen to this.
Now, there's a report the shooter yelled something right before his shot came in. Could you tell us what that was?
Yeah, it's part of the investigation, John, and
Now, the only reason I asked that, though, is, for instance, like with the Unabomber, his brother recognized the writing. So it's possible a friend or family member might recognize if the person said something that was significant.
Correct.
So that's why you don't, other than the 9mm, is there anything else inside that auditorium that you could tell us?
No, that's correct. And listen, like I said earlier, investigations will bring us to evidence that we need to collect in order to be able to prosecute. With that being said, we're going to continue to collect evidence.
Follow up on John's question. Did he yell when he came in the classroom? And how valuable have witness statements been from those who survived?
Listen, my heart goes out to the victims. It goes out to the families, and I'll tell you that their cooperation has been extremely helpful.
Okay, so they're not going to tell us. They're not mentioning it. Now, I'm always concerned about an investigation that plays hide the ball with the motive. This is the Nashville shooter case all over again. Cops knew right away. They got his, her, it thing, whatever notebook, and it was obvious what the motive was. And it wasn't until that got leaked out to the press and went out online. If you remember, they were still hiding it. That we started to get some confirmation, and then it took 2 years before it was officially released. But and this is an important question, if these buffoons who are more concerned about the narrative of whatever's going on here than investigating the crime, if these buffoons didn't catch this guy fast enough because they're just woke dummies, and the second victim, or the third actually, in the second shooting, the MIT nuclear professor in Boston, if he died because of their incompetence, I mean, that's going to be a story here, right? So we didn't find out the name. So then Wednesday, day after that press conference that I just played, a reporter asks the same police chief, Oscar Perez, "Sir, can you now explain to us 5 days later how many students were in that classroom? Can you now say how many kids were in that classroom? And did the gunman come in from the back so these people never knew it was coming, or did he come in to the front with full view of everybody?" It's a simple question. It doesn't have any bearing on anything. I mean, just explain something. Listen to this guy.
And that's all part of the interviews, and actually we're cooperating with Brown to get the roster. That was a study hall, so we don't have the number. We're still getting information as far as who was there. I know Brown sent out an email to the students to notify us if they were present, and we're still getting that, so I can't give you an exact account now.
What the hell are these people doing? I'm going to tell you. Remember my first reaction here? I got back into town for my trip. I got back on air, and I told you that this story, that Brown deserves to get sued into oblivion. And by the way, add these Keystone cops to the mix. These people are incompetent boobs. Gosh. If the MIT professor was my family member, my brother, my friend, I would be seething right now. Absolutely insane. Look, you know where students are, right? You can figure this out. It doesn't take 5 days. Yeah, but this is the problem in these cities. And listen to this guy. I mean, I'm going to say this here. Not going to. He's got a little accent. He's adding some diversity quota. This police chief to the mix. Is he the most competent guy? I don't know. I just know when you hire for diversity, the result tends to be you're not getting the best people for the job. You've got an entire town, an entire state, entire system in this part of the country, certainly, right? This is New England, very liberal, very left-wing, that operates this way. They care about how things look. By the way, speaking of how things look, those of you watching the Sam Cam, are you wondering what is on my Christmas sweater? Because today, Friday before Christmas, I am wearing a Christmas sweater. And it's okay. Here's what I'm going to stand up a little bit so you can see it. Okay. Joe Biden. It's a picture of Joe Biden, mouth agape, looking up. And it says, "I've got 3 words for you." And then under it says, "Mary, You know the thing. I wear this out and about. I've worn this now for, I think it's my third Christmas with this delightful beauty. Oh, it's yeah, it's a peach. You know, let me get to, there's a documentary filmmaker that went to a school in San Francisco and asked people to contribute to a left-wing, it's a horribly vile thing. But when you think about the things that are going wrong at Brown, sort of institutionally, think about the types of people that are there. This sheds some light on it. Hang tight. You do not want to miss hearing this. It's absolutely, well, it's upsetting, but it's absolutely important to see. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. This hour of the program brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. In a crash, call Sam and Ash 1-800-304-2000, 800-304-2000. Offices in Nevada and California, because you deserve what's right. Yeah, I just saw this. Somebody posted pictures on X, and apparently the name change is underway, or so the suspicion is, over at the Kennedy Center. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. That's right. There's a blue tarp up covering the facade of the building. This person's, of course, I'm familiar with it too, but the person's put a separate photograph here kind of for reference of showing what was there. Yeah, I mean, this is just setting people off. Yeah, well, just be prepared for it. It's going to be the talk of mainstream media town this weekend. All right, folks, Sam at what'srightshow.com, at What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. I am here for your edification, your listening pleasure, and, of course, for just a good time, Monday through Friday, here on the What's Right Media Network. Now, on the Brown thing, just real fast on this. You see that they didn't have any cameras in the building because they said it was an old building. The classroom where the shooting happened did not have cameras. It's not, I mean, listen, it's a major, well-funded, huge endowment institution. They didn't have cameras. Like, well, we couldn't put them in. It was an old building. We didn't want to damage anything. You know how they're obsessed with this, the libs are. Oh my gosh, it's an old building. You can't do that to the Kennedy Center. You can't do that to the East Room. Oh my gosh, the East Wing, it's gone. Trump destructed it. Okay, now I get it. I'm sympathetic to preserving our history, and I get it. Okay. But here you have a public safety problem. Aha. But as is typical lib fashion, it's what the communists do. What the people get is not what I get. The rulers always get taken care of, and the story is developed that in Rhode Island, the president's house, the home, the residence of the president of the university, that home, even though it's older than the classroom, has cameras everywhere. That's right. These barbaric security people drilled holes throughout this beautiful old home, run their little Cat 6 cables and connect up the cameras and electrify everything to protect the president of the university. Protect the students? Can't be bothered. That's what I always tell you. If you're finding yourself sympathetic to communist ideology, just trust me. It's what's there for the workers is not going to be very nice. What's there for the ruling Politburo class is going to be quite luxurious. All right, I told you that this type of thinking, it happens in places like Brown, universities where you have just ideology that has gone off the rails completely, outside of acceptable disagreement and discourse. And there's this guy that went around, he's a documentary filmmaker, Ami Horowitz. And he went to San Francisco State University in California. And he asked, right, he went around asking students to help fund the killing of Jews. Now, this was recorded, by the way, 2 years ago. All right, this is in the wake of October 7th. And but here's the deal. Now it's resurfaced. People are looking at it. Let me play the opening. Here's how it starts. Just absolutely wow.
I'm here at San Francisco State University, one of the most left-leaning intersectional schools in the country. I'm here to raise money to kill Jews. We want to raise arms so we can strike them all over the world. We have to hit these people hard.
Yeah.
And we want to fund operations against soft targets. Schools, hospitals, Jewish cafes, hospitals, Jewish schools, Jewish buses, synagogues, that kind of thing. Targets that can make them really feel it, attack, blow things up, blow shit up.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we have to strike back.
Yeah.
We can't
No, I definitely agree.
All we have are rockets and suicide bombers and that kind of thing. You agree with what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
But yes, I would totally be down.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, bro, I agree with you.
I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
By hitting these targets.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I like what you're saying. I would love to help.
You want to spread the word too? Or?
Spread the word for sure. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
God bless you.
He's literally telling him, I'm going to attack, calling them soft targets, but then explaining hospitals, schools, synagogues, etc. Notice, nobody's ponying up real money. They're all just like, yeah, I'll support that. That sounds great. There's a whole segment that he does, by the way, on the subject of money. These people are all out to kill Jews, but are pretty stingy about it, if you ask me.
I don't have money to give, but if you need word
But
of mouth,
moral support you can give me.
Yeah.
And just spread the message.
Like promotions, like putting on a story or something.
How much money would you be able to do? It's tax deductible.
A couple bucks.
Like $5.
Also $5? Like $5.
$5?
But yeah, 5, 10.
I'll probably do like $5.
$5 is great. 10?
Yeah, like 5 to 10. Like $15 right now.
Say $15.
That'd be amazing.
Like $15, $20 probably.
That'd be great.
Cool 20.
20? Come over here, brother. Come over here, brother.
I don't really have a job right now, so
Okay.
I would do like maybe $20.
20 bucks.
I'd do
$20.
Or 30?
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Peace and love.
Yes.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love. People are like, yeah, kill the Jews, but I only got $5 for it. You see at the end, toward the end, he was getting 30. I don't know how much you have to pay a suicide bomber. I think the going rate's a little bit higher than that. It's absolutely shocking. Now, again, I'm just telling you the kind of insanity on our college campuses, because I think even though we understand that it's there and we know it's there, we have to be reminded of it and just how bad it is. And my belief, strong belief, is that this was filmed 2 years ago. It's much worse now. So the documentary filmmaker that did this, right? This is his summation of what he saw.
The rhetoric and demonizing Jews we have seen globally has led to this. 28 out of 35 people that I engaged in conversation with expressed support for what I was doing. And 17 out of 35, nearly 50% of people I spoke with, offered me money to kill Jews.
It's shocking. Well, not shocking. It's sickening. Right? When was this report put out? This was January of this year. David Littman, writing for Camera, Ivy League propaganda, how Brown University radicalized students after October 7th. He writes, since the end of 2023, the extent of anti-American, anti-Israel, and anti-Semitic radicalism on college campuses has become an issue of national importance. Talks about the House Committee on Education investigation. And basically was summed up that anti-Semitic mobs rule over so-called elite universities. How did we get here? It's a fascinating study. They talk about how Brown University had speakers that glorified atrocities carried out by Palestinian terrorists. In one meeting, a Palestinian academic from Birzeit University spoke of the actions of October 7th as an exercise of our right to resist. She declared, quote, "It's a way of being and survival for Palestinians." Speaker after speaker at this one conference in Brown described the murder, rape, torture, mutilation, and kidnapping of Israeli men, women, and children in heroic terms such as anti-colonial action or anti-colonial liberation struggle. This goes on and on. Now, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is we knew all of this, right? We've heard it's happening at Brown, it's happening in San Francisco, it's happening at Harvard, happening at, Columbia, at every university, right? But at the same time, when something real happens at Brown, like, I don't know, someone, for some unexplained motive, walking into a classroom, blowing away 2 students, and then running across town days later and murdering another person, all while the police are just sitting there with their thumbs in the air going, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. When it comes to the real stuff, these institutions completely fail. It's all just activism, struggle, woke. I wouldn't send my kid to one of these schools for all the tea in China. This is ridiculous. These schools are horrifically poorly run. And it's because of politics, but it's not because of politics that I wouldn't send my kid there. Actually, at the end of the day, it's for their own safety. It's because these schools are horrifically mismanaged. And the only education you're getting is this nonsense propaganda that's not preparing you for the real world. In fact, the people running these schools couldn't be more detached from the real world if they tried. Oh, I think that's, I'm telling you, I always try to get ahead of a story and figure out where it's going. I think that this is where it's going to be headed. There'll be a lot of egg on Brown's face, on Rhode Island, on Rhode Island's face, on this police chief there, Mr. Oscar. I don't know anything. I didn't see anything. I don't know. 5 days later, no idea. Imagine these are your kids that got killed. Huh. Breaks my heart. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Back in a moment. Hi, folks. Welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. We're going to be off next week for the holidays. Just a slow week with Christmas and everything. By the way, Trump has made additional days off for federal employees. This is a big news. What days are they again, Robbie? Is it Christmas Eve and the day after Christmas? So it's 3 days now that are off for federal workers. Anyway, bit of news on that front. But I wanted to get to some of these emails that you all have sent me. And I asked last week what you want from Congress, from Republicans, from MAGA. What do you want to see in the next year? In June, I was in particular struck by your response to me because I agree with this. This is so well put. June writes, "Good morning, Sam. I've been giving this thought over the weekend since your request. Discussed it with my husband. We came up with this. First and foremost, number one, finish getting illegal immigrants out of our country. Yes, agreed with that. Number two, prosecute the politicians who tried to ruin our country. I could not agree more. It was part of my opening remarks today. 3, standalone bills, no pork. That's right. Single issue bills, up or down vote, and move on to the next. We have to stop wasting money. Number 4, term limits, no retirement, and the same health care that they authorized for the American people. Now, June, you said standalone bills. Now you're putting a few different things in number 4. Term limits, I don't always agree with term limits. I have a problem with that. I'll explain in a moment. Retirement, I agree. I mean, I don't think that going to Congress should be this cush job. I think it's for people who have done something, achieved something in the real world, and then go and give themselves to public service. It should be all, I mean, I don't get paid. I mean, maybe something get paid, but I mean, I really think it's for people who have already put a little bit of money away. So no, I agree. This is retirement packages, the same healthcare. My healthcare idea, June, I don't know what you think about this, but is that Congress should go to the VA. If you're a member of Congress, you go to the VA. Makes sense, right? You're a federal employee. Might as well, it's not that many members of Congress, not going to be a big burden on the VA. Make them go to the VA. Watch how fast the VA gets fixed. Number 5, just heard about this, no earmarks for private schools from taxpayer funding. Well, I don't, are you talking, again, if we're talking about Brown University and sending money to these institutions, I think it's even bigger than just earmarks. I think it has to do with taking the enormous amount of student loan money that is just being funneled straight to these institutions. It's welfare for these terrible schools, whether they're public or private. So, just coming back to term limits real fast. I mean, sometimes somebody's good at the job and you want to keep them. Like, I don't know. I would want another term from Donald Trump. I'd love the option to have Trump in for 3. Look, if you don't want him around, don't vote for him. So sometimes I'm a choice person. I want to be able to choose. I want to have the right to choose, and I don't want to have an artificial time limit put in place. Sometimes someone very capable comes into a job and does a good job and stays there for a while. It's how it should be. And also when it comes, by the way, to term limits, with the presidential term limits, our adversaries know that they don't have to deal with anyone longer than 8 years. It's not good for our national security. So, I wanted to share that. I really liked that response in particular. One thing I'm telling you folks, going into the new year, we absolutely must, we have to go after keep following the money trail, what Elon Musk and Doge started. A lot of the insanity goes away when you don't support it. And this is why people are so up in arms about USAID being basically put into Marco Rubio receivership. USAID was basically one giant, money funneling machine to Democratic pet projects. And these pet projects, I mean, some of them sounded good, right? Curing homelessness, helping AIDS, whatever. I saw this deranged clip. I didn't have Robbie grab it, but this deranged clip with, oh my gosh, who is the boyishly charming lady at MSNBC that we love to make fun of, Robbie? Thank you, Rachel Maddow, talking about how we were this close. We were this close to finding a cure for AIDS, and Trump turned it off. I'm listening to this and I'm going, yeah, I mean, all these things sounded good. We're going to end AIDS. Nobody wants AIDS. Everybody wants to end it, of course. But who's getting the money? And who's getting rich off of it? The vast patronage network of the Democratic Party, their various enablers, friends, family members, etc. The spigot of money has to end. Second, Congress. This is such a specific thing. Congress needs to come up with a plan. Republicans in Congress, a plan. This is what we do for healthcare. And I don't think it's going to be Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson's not a pitch guy for big ideas. I don't know who they bring in. I don't know who they've got. It's an opportunity, by the way, for somebody to become the next standard bearer of the Republican Party. Maybe it doesn't come from Congress. Maybe it comes from the administration. Market-based solutions for healthcare. Trump alludes to this on the mortgage front, on the economics front, when in his remarks the other night from the Oval Office. But it's a fixable problem. We've got to take the healthcare issue away from the Democrats because they're the ones that screwed it up. They're the ones that wrecked it. You know, I have kind of one last thing that I will say is don't weaken. I still don't exactly know what the Bongino story is all about. Is it money, right? Is it the pressure of the job? Is he frustrated with Pam Bondi? I could see that being a case. Is it a combination of factors? Probably likely. But what I don't want to see, and I don't know, is Dan Bongino the best deputy director there could be? I can't answer that either. I like the guy. And I also feel that he's a straight shooter. The Trump administration needs to keep its foot on the gas. Don't believe the naysayers. The naysayers out there are saying, hey, you're unpopular. No, Trump is popular. His policies are popular. The rest of Congress, Republicans need to get on board. All right, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'll see you. We'll do some. Follow me on X. I'll give you the updates of when we're going to do the show at What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. All right, folks, have a great one, and I'll see you soon.